We're following Willie more and more. Back in the NRL, there's Willie Mason.
I've forgotten how big Willie actually is.
Perhaps the presence of Willie had the Panthers looking at his imposing frame.
I'm a 25-minute man. Plus. Oh, you got skill, son.
Uppercut right hand by Big Willie.
Too fancy for you.
Welcome to episode number 27, the grand final edition of the Take With Willie and Iain. And it's me and Willie's favourite thing. We're on the Zoom.
Who would have fucking thought?
It's deep lockdown.
He's bringing back so many stupid memories.
We're heaps good at technology too. So
Bottle of
just
whiskey. We need the bottle of whiskey for that one episode, our first one.
So I
Oh,
am, for those who are listening, I am actually up at beautiful Magnetic Island, actually, which is I'll tell you what, I spoke to Will. We got here on Friday. We're just up on a family holiday, and it's just off Townsville. Actually, we got here on Saturday morning, and it was just after the Cowboys had been beaten, and there was you could tell in Townsville it was not the best. I actually saw a couple of Cowboys players. We got in about probably 12 o'clock, and they were riding scooters around. And I'm sure they'd definitely been to bed before that little riding the scooters around. They would have definitely gone home and had a good night's sleep after they lost that game. They wouldn't have been straight out. But I'll tell you what, I said to William, how did you do a pre-season up here? I have got so much respect because it is 1 billion degrees.
Yeah, it's awful. Nothing but respect to the Cowboys too. Had a great year. Yeah, it's awful. I imagine like pre-season, like just say December, January, you're talking like 38, 40 degrees. It's terrible. And then it rains in the morning, and then it just like comes up, the humidity gets to like 90 degrees, like 90 plus sometimes. It's like, if you're not from here, if you're like from Canberra or something like that, then you went, oh, no, play the Cowboys. Due to a rude shock. Yeah, that's why when they get a decent side, they're usually a lot fitter than a lot of other teams. Because of the preseason, they said Billy Johnson was up there too. Anyone who knows the game knows Billy Johnson. He was awful.
I'll tell you what, though, if you look at this guy, if they had a big thing about how Todd Payton was bringing back the mongrel and he was treating it to be, tough and that, you just have to train for 20 minutes up here and you have got no fluid left in your body.
We used to train at 6 o'clock in the morning because it got too hot, and then you do an afternoon session in the summer. It's because it's unbearable, Burner. Like, you can't do it. Like, it's impossible. So they train in the morning, then you got this. It's a whole fucking day. I mean, you're up there right now. There's a little bit to do. You're on holiday mode, so it's not too bad. Like, imagine, I think I was at the end of my career. I was 30 first before my little sabbatical for my first time in France. I was like, oh yeah, I'll just go up here, just try and get away from Sydney and all that sort of shit. So I played my whole time down here. Then going up there was just like going back in time. It was unreal.
Yeah. People
love you, you know what I mean? Like, they're solid Queenslanders, first of all. When Origin was coming around, they hated me. But, you put in for that town, and, they have a lot of respect for you as a player. They really get in there. I've always got a soft spot for the Cowboys because I played there, and, they were really good to me for that year. And it was one of the reasons why I didn't really want to stay there, because the fucking heat. Unbearable. And I only did half.
It's crazy.
I did half of pre-season. I didn't do the whole thing. I was just like, because I had that one more year left with the Roosters, and I was like, should I go back, or I could just get out of Sydney? So I just made a choice. I'm done. I didn't want to do all the politics and shit like that down here. I was like, all right, I'm done. Get me as far away as possible. It's North Queensland.
That's as far as you can get.
The people are awesome up there. They are proper fans. Like, they travel like I just come from Mount Isa. It's like literally like a 10-hour drive. The people, they're passionate. That's why I always got a soft spot. That's why I felt sorry for them on the weekend. They tried their guts out. They're going to be at the top 8, top 4 for a couple of years yet. They're going to have the exact same squad apart from Gilbert, and that's probably about it out of their starters.
Yeah, and they've picked up Lua.
You got Leilua.
Leilua at least, yeah.
Whoever else they get, they're going to be pretty good for at least the next 3 years.
Well, I did promise that Finn's up here with his couple of little mates, Poppy and Zach, who we normally go away on holidays with, and they really wanted to be on the show. And I said, that's probably not going to happen, guys, just because I can't film it properly on the phone. But I just wanted to have a big shout out to Finn, Poppy and Zach.
Finn and Zach. Little
I love you all.
Finn.
I love you
Like,
all. Maybe next time.
We're doing Zoom. You know how you're supposed to do Zoom, and like I'm supposed to be able to see you. I can't see you.
Can't you?
No, and I'm looking at
Just
like
the voice.
this stupid fucking screen. I'm just looking at myself. It's awful.
Oh, is it the little
Help
circle on
me.
the jelly bean? Slide across.
Oh.
I know this is, but slide this thing across. Go one way. That's how I brought your big ugly head up. Give that a go. There we go. Now,
No, it's none.
Probably a good thing you don't have to look at me. All right, well, so let's move on. I think people really liked you doing the deep dive into the specifics of the games last week. So I think what we'll do, we'll just have a bit of a chat about a couple of things that have come through this week, and then what we might do is a quick review of the two games from the weekend, and then we'll just pump straight into the grand final preview. And I want you to do the same sort of thing again, Will, because you are, you're really good with the way that you explain things, and I think it's great for people to understand actually how smart your brain is about everything, really, but how smart your brain is about the game itself. So the first thing I want to, there's been this big blow up. So obviously in the South Penrith game, the trainer for Penrith is first of all, he said something to Cartwright, and then second of all, he didn't. And then Cody Walker's blown him after the game. And now Penrith are talking about how they've got the audio because he didn't say what he said. How are we in a world where a trainer says something to a player and then one of the other player reacts, and then we're talking about it 6 days later? I don't understand, Will. How is this relevant?
I'll tell you why. Because the Penrith team and the Parramatta team have probably been educated pretty good by the coaches and CEOs. Like first couple of days, coming into grand final week, stories just want to be everywhere, right? And they're going to make shit up. If they can't get a good interview with a player, they're going to make shit up, and they're going to go with something like as pathetic as this. First of all, that trainer should not have said anything. Stay in your lane. You're the trainer. Don't say anything to Jed about his, should run at him because of his, because he's got a sore back or something like that. Just that's a bit classless from this guy. Like, and I know it was a bit of tongue in cheek because I think Jed and this trainer has, already squashed their beef and said, it was just in the heat of the moment. But like, if I'm a Penrith player and my trainer did that, I'd be filthy. I'd be like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, you just do your thing. I'm not telling you how to come on and run the water and tell people about injuries and all that sort of shit. Like, stay in your lane. Like, I'm the one who has to be out here and play. You know what I mean? Imagine if South got on top of them because of that one little comment. Cody Walker just turned it on and just went, fucking, all right, we're going to get him back, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like little things like that. And then you can, then imagine if South won that game. So what was a turning point? Cody goes, oh, well, the trainer started talking shit to us. Fuck. Imagine that. If you're one of the Penrith boys, you're like, I'm going to a quick word to this trainer. You shouldn't have said it. I think he's been apologetic about it. Big Johnny Cartwright's come out and called for him getting sacked.
He blew up Deluxe, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, that's his boy, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't deserve to do that. Like, Jed's worked his way into first grade. He's been injured most of the year. Like he was injured when he was out at Penrith, I think, and that's why this guy's got a little bit of history on him. It was a bit classless from this bloke. He probably should know better. I don't. And this is what happens in grand final week. Look at this littlest thing. It's getting back page and all that kind of stuff from the Telegraph. And you know why? Because no one else wants to say anything because they know everything is amplified by 1,000. You don't want to give anyone any bulletin board material, nothing. You just want to get to about Thursday, Friday, bunker in, lock it down, get through all the media, all the photos, all the bullshit, and then get along with the game. So it's Wednesday now. I'll probably train tomorrow, Friday off. Saturday, I'm not sure they're going to plan it, but usually all the real heavy media is going to be done by now, at least tomorrow. You got nothing else to talk about, obviously, have they? They got nothing to talk about. The trainers probably going fucking, the plan worked if you didn't really want any media scrutiny if you're Penrith. And they're talking about a trainer. The trainer's not out there. The trainer's not doing anything. He's not the tone setter. He's not the big hitter. He's not the guy who has to kick goals. He's not anything. So Ivan Cleary's probably thinking, oh, well, fucking, you've done your job. You've taken all the heat off my boy and his boy and like everybody else's, and they're all talking about you. So good on you. But it was just classless from what he said. What he said to Jed, you don't say that. This kid's had a horrific run of injuries and try to get back, and this is fucking the low blow. And I think Jed's been the bigger man, said, look, he's known him for years, and Yeah, that's a class act.
There's no one from South said anything because they've been on the drink since Saturday night. Yep, you won't find any South players making comments. It's like
no way. It wouldn't be fucking. No, it would if you're the media manager. You're not saying anything.
You're not saying.
Cody?
Do not speak to one person. Anyone. None of you.
No one.
It has been a good year for Mad Mondays, though, Will, hasn't it? Like if you look at, there has not been one scandal. Probably after the grand final now, there'll be 27 blokes arrested. But it's been a good year in terms of keeping people have obviously learnt their lessons from the mistakes of the past, and everybody seems to have just kept their noses clean this year, which is good because you don't want to see constant negative stories about blokes doing the wrong thing all the time at the end of the year. So that's good. It's good stuff. Well done.
It is actually a good thing. The game, obviously the talks would be like to the guys who don't make the 8. We just don't want any fucking headlines. You know what I mean? Let's just fucking, this season sucked. You don't make the 8, just go do your thing and just get back. Because these guys really take a break. They probably take about a week or 2 off. Then they're fucking doing their own thing, training their asses off, trying to get back into preseason, getting on the front foot. You know, you can see the way the Bulldogs boys are going. Fatala Mariner pulled out of Samoan side. Pangai Jr. out of the Tongan side. This is how much it means to these guys to come back and for a big year. You know what I mean? Like they know the World Cup. You know, they've played for their countries of origin before. It's probably not at their top priority at the moment. Priority is the Bulldogs, and a lot of players would be doing that if you're not in those, Australian teams and all that kind of stuff. So, the talk would have come from the top all the way down to the coach, to everybody. Pull your heads in. No one's bigger than the game. You don't want to bring the game down. It's cops hit after hit after hit. It's very resilient, but the club doesn't need it, man. You're talking about like millions of dollars. With NRL clubs, sponsors pull out. Fuck, mate. It's just once now that I've been in the sort of like at the on both ends as a player, now as a sort of coach, but being at the other side
in the management level,
yeah, and I'm like, fuck, I can sort of see why coaches and managers used to flip out at fucking our team and just be stressed out all the time because like shit was just fucking sideways back then. But that was society.
Did Canterbury have an organised end of season thing this year? Like, was there an organised end of season thing, or was it just kind of go and do your best and try not to get in trouble?
Kind of do, yeah. It's like I think they played on the Friday, right, against Manly.
Yeah.
So it's a big. It sucks getting that Friday.
There's a lot of weekends.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you got to get to Mad Monday. Everyone's just done. And I remember going to the presentation was on I think the Tuesday or Wednesday, and I was there, and I was just wondering why no one was having a drink or anything like that. I'm like, oh, that's right. He did the treble. Yeah, and it's a rough road, that one. That's a rough road. There's a lot of people just drinking water, bit buckled. There was hardly any beer drinkers there. It was awful. It was awful. Plus, it had a down season. It was a pretty nice presentation, actually, to be honest. The teams and the clubs on the way back up, but a lot of clubs, it's not that culture anymore. It's not. The Mad Mondays, the dressing up, and that's just gone because of the way that the society is right now. You just can't put fucking pressure. Even if you're dressed up like an idiot and you're having a good time. Apart from the Geelong boys, they fucking nailed that. You see that?
That was funny. That was
hilarious. That was pretty funny. I thought that was in good taste. And I think they're pretty known for that. I think they still do. They still get a little bit wild in the AFL. NRL, I don't think it's like that because, talking to some other teams, we didn't have a Mad Monday, or, we had one drink, so it's not that sort of culture anymore, which is a good thing.
Probably a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not all about that. It's probably been a bit more professional, like with their bodies and everything like that. So everyone's a lot more health conscious. Everyone knows that next year's going to come across quick. Preseason's going to hit you in the face. Shit's going to be sideways this year at the Bulldogs. It's not going to be like it was in the last couple of years. The preseason's probably going to go back to that old school stuff.
And I think also,
if anyone's done that right, it's Todd Payton.
Yeah, for sure.
Toddy ripped all those, all the sports science stuff off and said, "Oi, let's get back into this old school shit," especially for the middles.
I think essentially this is the first year in a long time there's been the World Cup, because obviously things are getting back to normal with so the international game's back. And one thing, and I think a lot of players have probably got an eye on that as well, which means they want to keep their bodies in shape and they'd probably be training and that sort of thing. But one thing I don't understand, they talk about, and we're both big supporters of the international game, because I think, anything that you can do to grow the game is a good thing. And I think one thing that rugby league has always struggled with is it's played in the north of England and the south of France and Australia and Papua New Guinea, and that's pretty much it, and New Zealand. But, these World Cups are something, they're starting to mean something. So explain to me, Will, Jason Taumalolo plays in an NRL semi-final. He gets a 3-match ban, right, for something that he did in that game, and that goes into the international game. I don't understand how a club game in Australia, if you're talking about a legitimate international competition, how is something that he's doing in a club game going to affect the international game? I find that really strange. Like, can't he serve it next year?
Yeah, I think they need to change the rules on that. Like Tane Milne, what he did on the weekend was awful. But he should be able to. He did that in an NRL club. His country of origin shouldn't have to pay for it. Like same as Taumalolo. He did his playing in the NRL representing the Cowboys. Why should Tonga have to cop what he did in a different competition? Should be different rules, especially when it goes to the international game. If it's origin or anything played here, if you do something in clubland, it's going to continue into origin.
You cop it. That's right.
You've got to cop that. And it's just, people, you just got to just be disciplined in the game right now. But, Tane Milne's going to miss the whole World Cup. So Fiji's at a loss. Taumalolo's going to miss 3 games. That's a big loss, because I want to see Taumalolo play. If Tonga's smart, I'll be doing some warm-up games right now. Warm-up games. Yeah. I've had 2 warm-up games before I even leave this country.
I think they're counting anyone
who's Tongan is playing. I don't care if half the people can't play. But you know what I mean? Just get it off. You know what I mean? Just play fucking Lebanon. Play against Greece. Play against Italy. Play 3 fucking games back to back, like Super Saturday. Back to back to back to back.
Friday, Saturday,
Sunday. And then we're done. And then he can play in the whole World Cup, because everyone loves Jason Taumalolo, man. I want to see him play. He's my favourite player. So I think they need to they can tinker with those rules. If you do that in the Super League, you get suspended for those 6 games. Hey, and if you're not a big dog and you can't deal with it, that's the argument. That's the conversation you need to have with your head coach, CEOs, and all that kind of stuff. Oh my God, you're not going to the World Cup. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like Tane Milne.
I can see now, like if you look at rugby union, if it's which is a genuine international game, I get it. Like if you do something in an international game, you're going to miss other international games. But in this particular environment where you're trying to grow a game, why would you take your best players out for something that in a club game? It's just like if the NRL can sit there and say Taylor May can serve his suspension later because that's what the fans want. Well, I tell you what, I'm a fan and I want to see Tonga be strong at the World Cup. So you can't have one rule for one and not another. There can't be 2 different things.
Yep, I totally agree. They need to really tinker with that. It's not a big.
The other thing,
if you make, it's not a big thing. You do your thing. If you do that, if you're playing in the NRL, you fuck that up for your club in the NRL, then that's on you. It shouldn't go into the international game.
Especially when you're growing it. So the other thing with the international game before we move on, Will, there's been a bit of talk. Obviously, after we did the show last week, then the news came out that Joseph Suaalii had chosen to play for Samoa instead of going for Australia, which I think is great. I think all these blokes, the choices that they're making can do nothing but Australia will still have a strong side. But these blokes are choosing to play for the land of their heritage. They're choosing to play for, in some cases, the country in which their grandparents still live. They've got such a strong connection to their heritage. We've been strong on that for a while, and especially with Samoa. Samoa this year have had a number of different players that probably haven't chosen to represent Samoa come into the fold, which is terrific for the international game, and I think it's terrific for rugby league. There was a journo this week who has quoted a show that we did on this show a couple of years ago, basically saying that the players didn't want to play for Matt Parrish and that Matt Parrish probably should step down because he was holding back the international game in that country. This bloke's written a show, but an article basically, and I don't know where he got the thing from. He's obviously deep dug into the past, the big guy, but he's where you have said Parrish should step down, and he's saying the fact now that Suaalii and these other blokes have chosen to play for Samoa discredits the fact that Matt Parrish probably at that stage should have stepped down. Now, the problem that I have with this, Will, is that once again, the bloke is completely missing the point. He is not playing for Matt Parrish. He's playing for the land of his fathers and grandfathers and his heritage. He's playing to make a nation proud. He's got nothing to do with the coach. I could be the coach and he'd still play. So explain to me, Will, how exactly does a bloke playing an international game for the country of his ancestry, how does that mean the coach is a good coach?
Fucking doesn't. Who's this dickhead anyway? I don't know.
Someone.
Oh, God. What did he quote us on a show 2 years ago?
He quoted you at length too, you know, and one of my mates sent it to me and goes, what about this bloke? He goes, what about this bloke? He goes, and then
God.
like from my perspective, Will,
my
everything that you said
has not changed.
100%
at all. It fucking has not. They are not playing for the coach. Who's this guy? Discredits me.
Yep.
God, I'm living in your head rent free. If you got to write a story about me, you dick. I don't even know what his name is. Oh my God, yuck! I still stand by it. Everything I say, and if they don't think that the powers to be don't want Matt Parrish out either, it's just fucking. The players are playing because they want to represent their family. It's more than the coach. This is where they've swallowed their pride. Just go, we've got to get Samoa back where it belongs, up there with Tonga and stuff like that, instead of back out of the top 5 or 6 nations in the world. That's what the players have done. That's how strong that's how much it means to them. Not the fucking coach. What an idiot.
And guaranteed, Will. Guaranteed, Will. And tell me.
As you said, sorry, he missed the point, doesn't he? He's missed the point. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. That's why you're fucking writing for some low paper, whatever it's called.
And who do you reckon, Will? Who do you reckon was making those phone calls? Do you reckon it was Matt Parrish making the phone calls, or do you reckon it was the senior players coming together and saying, you know what, if you look at our side on paper, we've got something really special here. And at international level, the coach is just the manager, right? The players will set the tone. They'll set the game plans. You played enough international football under some great coaches. They're not there to coach you. They're there to bring you together.
Yeah, manage. The coaches are not going to be learning anything from anyone in that World Cup. They're going to be bouncing off each other's energy, what they're learning at club, the Origin players, young kids asking Origin players, Papali'i and Junior Paulo, all these sort of big guys. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with the coach. It's got to manage people. And I think what happened, I think Parrish would have been calling players because he knows that the players, there was a bit of a revolt. They signed papers and shit to try to get rid of this guy. So he's probably gone in, swallowed his pride a little bit, going, all right, I've got to fix myself. You know, if we want to get these players on board. And I think, and credit to Matt Parrish, he has done that. I know that he's done that, but it doesn't mean that there's not a little side table trying to get him out. He's doing the right thing by Samoa. You know what I mean? Like you've got to buy into the culture. You've got to do everything because all these things that I've heard that was going on the last couple of World Cups, they weren't going to put up with it again. So obviously they've had meetings that are, with Samoa on board, everything like that, and just to get him on the same page as everyone else. Otherwise, they would have made a change. Do you know what I mean? You had Joey Johns and Matty Johns willing to coach that team. Look at the amount of players that were willing to play for Samoa at that time. You know what I mean? Like if the coaches had if the coach changed his mind, apparently he's been doing the right thing, and that's all the players want. Buy into the culture. There was some things I wouldn't even put it on this platform or put it out there that I know about. They could really discredit that guy. But I want Samoa to do good. That's why everyone was going, you got to get Matty and Joey in there. Imagine what they could have done for that country. But I'm glad that the players, it's bigger than the game, isn't it? The players,
100%
at the moment is bigger than the game, and they're going to, if they finish in the top 4, get to a semi-final or the final, well, you're not going to get rid of Matt Parrish then. You're going to coach for life.
I'll tell you what,
I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him. And then this guy
thing
has
that upset me,
the audacity to write some shit. Like, shut up, mate.
And the thing that upsets me, Will, about
unless you're Buzz Rothfield, or Paul Kent, then I'll give or Danny Weidler. It better be someone like that. If it's not them, who gives a shit?
Maybe it was a pseudonym. So the thing that upsets me is that because it's from 2 years ago, it's a completely different environment from when we spoke about it at that time. At that time, it's a different environment, and now to make it look like that we have been disrespecting the international game or disrespecting
when you sent it to me
it's-
before, I was just like, what is this guy doing? Like, where's this article? I don't read fucking papers or do anything like that. Just fucking, I don't know. Some people should, and then you use my name in it, and you put poor Joey Suolii's head next to mine. Like, the kid hasn't said a fucking word. Clickbait. Like, come on, dude. Be better than that. I'm only talking about you because I fucking don't like you.
And it was it wasn't the best photo of you either. That was just the knife as well. Better photos I could have used.
I'm all about that. I'm all about it. Get a decent photo. You can say whatever you want.
Say whatever you like. Just make sure it's a good one. There's not too many bad ones in there. Anyway, so Adam, whatever your name is, mate, you're missing the point.
Mate. And you miss the point. You're not very smart. That's why you're writing for fucking who you're writing for.
The international game is strong, and watching Samoa and Tonga and what they're going to do, it's a wonderful thing, and milk out all of them. All right, mate. Well, let's go in quickly to just do a quick review. The Para Cowboys game. You were pretty strong on the Cowboys for a number of reasons, and just explain to me where you think the Cowboys went wrong. What was it that the Cowboys didn't do that you thought they would that meant that Para got on top?
Inside pressure on Dylan Brown, and what they did in that first half or 50 minutes, Dylan Brown wasn't in the game. I think it was like 50 or 60 minutes in, 50 minutes in, 3 runs. I mean, like maybe 5 runs for 30 meters. Wasn't taking the line on, so they took that off him. The Ruben Cotters and stuff like that. Inside pressure was really good for that bit. They let off a little. They had their foot on their throat. They just let it off. Like they should be in the grand final. They lost. And credit to Parramatta. But you give Parramatta like a little bit of hope. They're not going to give up. No one's going to give up in that position. You know what I mean? Like, I just think they got him in a really good position, but Para kept fighting, and Queensland were going down there, coming away with no points all the time, heaps of times, and that's deflating. It's very deflating, But like they were in a position to win that game. A couple of things went their way, didn't go their way. That forward pass in the first half, I think. If you watch that game, you're probably going, it should be 18-0 at half time. Should be nearly game over because they're a very good defensive line. And just how soft those tries were. Like people missing their assignment online. Like Campbell Gillard got two tries right through the middle of his. Really
just straight too.
Really
just straight
bad
running.
Individual tries. I mean, individual like defensive stuff up.
Misses,
Really bad ones. Like you don't do that, and they're a defensive team. And when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, they're off here." When I watched the first Campbell Gillard try, how soft that was, I'm like, "Wow, this is not a good sign. Not a good sign for the Cowboys, who are a top 3, top 4 defense all year, and you're letting those tries in." Big RCG is just running that normal line. He's not doing anything like out of the ordinary. He's just running out sitting line, and it just opened up twice for him.
Twice, yeah.
So, like. The big man was on. Like, all he was doing was his job. Wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary that he wouldn't be doing all year. Just running those block lines, running those lead lines. And they fucking opened up like Sydney Heads and fucking 2 tries. Good on you, big man. The big man was flying. Inside pressure, they let Brown get back into the game. They let Lane get back into the game. And that was just like, maybe it was the heat. Maybe it was something. I don't know. They just, Dylan Brown, he's a Kiwi sweet, Dylan Brown and Sean Lane. They held so much power because the middles were, Ruben Cotter was outstanding. Taumalolo was fucking unbelievable. He was so outstanding. Good. He was the best forward on that field there easily. The way that he was just off the back fence, just led by example, did massive captain's knock.
Because I think Para were one of those. Like it was that they were both the best and the worst team. Like they had periods of the game where they were on, and you thought, you know what, they look like the side that. The only side that can beat Penrith. And then there are other times, and Mitchell Moses, like I know he just, he'd given up the chance to see his baby being born to play that game. Like his mind would have been everywhere, but he uncharacteristically put 2 kicks out on the full. He missed a kick. Like he was off, and they still managed to roll through and get back into that game. And when they were rolling, they looked unstoppable.
Yeah, they're there for a reason. They were. They're getting through that game, getting beat by Penrith in that first one, like getting like proper wallop. Coming back, 2 wins on the road, 2 wins in a row, going up to North Queensland, taking the points there, getting into the grand final. I'd be confident they can get away with it this week. We'll review the grand final soon. But like North Queensland, I'm not sure if North Queensland lost that game or Parramatta won the game. You know what I mean? Like, I look at North Queensland going, I think you guys lost it. You had the game. You had the game. You didn't have anyone. There was no injuries, nothing, no HIAs, no nothing like that. That rocked the game, and they had it there, and it just fucking they couldn't stop the bleeding. They were going down their right edge. Man, I would have put fucking Ruben Cotter in front. I don't know who was like trying to get Lane on that right edge. I think it was maybe Gilbert. I think Gilbert was on that edge. I would have fucking swapped and put Ruben Cotter because he's a little dog. You know what I mean? He would have went after him, and he would have went after him. I would have made a few little changes in there, like defensively, if I was Big Toddy Payton. But yeah, they just couldn't stop it down that edge. Fucking offloads and just making meters after meters, and they just couldn't stop the bleeding. I've been in positions like that. It just sucks. You're trying your ass off. They're trying their ass off, but they're just getting that little fucking edge over you, and it just kept building and building and. The kick started sticking for Moses, and everything started sticking Lane, you know, running those lines, flicking that ball out, going over Phelps' head, straight into see those hands. Like, fuck. Yeah. You could see that when that happened, that was it. I was like, they're not coming back from this. Even though it sort of looked like, you know, like I was just like, oh, they could maybe. And I was just like, nah. Once Parramatta good front runners too. You know, once they're ahead, they got that defensive system to really shut you down. They can put hits on, they work hard. But I think it's a different kettle of fish this week. But North Queensland had a great year. It's a
great year for the Cowboys.
Deserves Coach of the Year this year, easily.
Yeah, for sure. He's been fantastic. Yeah. And so if I look at the Penrith South game, and I probably was of the belief, and we've spoken about this before, that the winner of the grand final would come from that side of the draw. Penrith. The way Penrith started in that game, they looked like a side that had rested players in the last round, then had a game, then had a week off. They looked like a team that first half where it was like, you know what, is resting players that good? Because at the end of the day, that first 40 minutes from them was pretty poor. They managed to get back in towards the last sort of 5 minutes of that second half. And then that first 25 minutes of the second half, they just blew them away. That was where it just clicked. But, mate, I looked at that Penrith side and I went, they're clunky. They look rusty. It'll be different this week. But, mate, Souths had every opportunity to win that game.
Yeah, Souths did. I think starting Mitch Kenny, I think, you know, obviously he's the future of the club and everything. I'm happy he's going. But, like, he's not in sync with these middles. They were on different pages at the start. Like, I don't know if I'm going to use the same thing again with Parramatta, because Parramatta could put – I'm not sure, because they back themselves defensively as well. They don't really care. They'll be like, yeah, well, good luck scoring. You know, like they sort of give you that sort of, yeah, fucking, we'll give you a good ball in some good positions. Good luck. South got them twice.
Yeah,
they got them twice. But that's probably the only team that can really pull the trigger like that. I think Souths they're on fire there. They're running hard. Everything was going good. Cam Murray was moving the ruck around. The big guys were moving around. You know, Latrell had some nice touches. Cody Walker, like Ilias, everyone got involved really quick. They looked on South. I'm like, fucking Penrith way off or South on. It was hard to get a gauge. I was watching, fuck, I don't know. Like if it evens up the possession or field position, I was in the back of my head. I'm like, Penrith's going to run over this. Fucking, I want South to keep going, foot on the throat, just keep going. And they fucking were. They were on fire. They just looked off until Appy come on.
Yeah,
bang, kick out, hits that hole, boom, quick play ball on the wall, Abby gets out, fake kick, you know, Latrell falls for it and just goes down. Like, and then, you know, Latrell's one of the strongest kids in the game and he still couldn't hold Appy up. And then, like, that just sort of went sideways there. You know, and then coming out of yardage, Latrell hits the toll, hits him in the shoulder, had an opportunity there. You know, they could have been 18-0 before half-time. And
I think it was 12-0
all. No, but it could have been 18-0 if South had a really, really, really nailed a couple of their plays. And where Totola hits Totola on the shoulder, and that could have been something. And then they, I don't know, like those tries. When it got to 12-6, I was like, as soon as it was 12-6, I was like, Penrith's going to win. All they needed was some points. I needed fucking South to go in 12-0 up for them to be proper gonna win this game. That was my sort of feeling. I was like, because 12-0 is not that big, but I was thinking if Penrith score next in the first half, I'm like, then it's on. And then they fucking scored 2. And then it's twice, 12-all. And then you could just see the air go out of the stadium and just everyone like go, fuck, is it happening? Cody Walker come out a different player. It was just like Latrell got rattled by what's his name? Leota. I've never seen Latrell get hit like that. You go through every one of Latrell's games and you'll never see him get hit as hard as that.
Yeah.
And that sort of changed the energy of the game too. It was around about the 15-minute mark. Don't fucking go and look at that, people. It was a fucking 13. It sort of rattled, and then I didn't see Latrell take anything off the 9, one off the ruck, the rest of the game. So I was like, you got to give Penrith credit here for the game plan. I looked at the stats. Thing someone said, it was like Latrell had 11 runs in 2 games. Full, like a lot of touches, but running. So they kept kicking it down, like I said, down to that right corner, so he can come off the line with his left arm, left hand, so he couldn't palm anyone. So they were just belting him and hitting him. You know what I mean? So they put it perfect position where he has to run, and they were putting it in just over when the wingers haven't dropped back. Cleary, bang, he has to run it back because he can't connect with his wingers. You know what I mean? So they were hitting it back on the 4th tackle. So Latrell had to go all the way back, get the ball, run it all the way back again. And it takes him out of the set of 6, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So and they are relentless at their game plan, Penrith. They don't fault at all. Where you see teams come in and out of games, they just stay on, and get better and better and better. And I was just like, fuck, they're doing it. Kicking game all the time, exactly what I'd be doing. Make him run. Because he's not like your Tedesco's or Dylan Edwards or Pappenhausen's and all that. He's not that traditional, that fullback of the 2020s where they just fucking have like 50 fucking hit-ups.
Keep going.
He's more class. He's
quality.
That
quality touches.
Shit. You know what I mean? So it's good game plan executed by a fucking gun team.
And it was a good year by South. So South, like if you're a South fan,
had a great year.
South had a great year. And
if you dissect their year, you go, everyone's thinking, well, they're not going to make the 8. No, or they're not going to make top 4. That was definite in most analysts' minds. And I was thinking, probably the same. I was thinking they're about a 5 or 6 or 7 team. But that could be any year. You miss a couple of games because the top 4 was pretty good. And it was right. They started off pretty rocky. Ilias, first year in first grade. Come on, give him a break. Next year he's going to be way better. Reynolds comes out of the blocks flying. Oh, my God, you made a fucking mistake. Not really, did you? Kid's 20, 21 years old. You got a 10-year player. You got fucking 2 left in the Reynolds. So they had to make a fucking real hard choice there. Really hard choice. I made the right one. So it's like that was a hard thing to do from Dimitri and like the CEO and that. That's a big call. Letting your fucking favourite son go for a kid who's obviously a young South junior. But they had to make some big calls there. And I think going into next year, I think South might win it because they're going to have the exact same team. You put Tom Burgess and Havili on that team, and then you take a few players off Penrith, which you will, Happy and kick out, and Para. So everyone's pretty even next year. And I'm looking at South going, you got the exact same team. You got Cody Walker, you got Damien Cook, you got Cam Murray, you got Latrell Mitchell.
It's a good side.
You got a side there. So you got to. And I think next year, I reckon they can really go for it. I mean, I know it's an early prediction, but I reckon they could have a decent crack next year, probably better than this year. Who else is going to be on the open market? They might get some outside backs and all that. So, there's not that many big names, but they could get some more depth, some more forwards, and you get that next year with these younger kids coming through. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to get. So I think it's been a really successful year for South. I don't think anyone was going to beat Penrith this year. Still got to prove me wrong one week, but Melbourne's come back. Roosters have come back. It's going to be freaking even next year because Penrith's going to come back a little bit. They might lose more than Coruscant and kick out. Lose more than those two, and you really come back.
Well, let's have a look, Will. You say no one's going to beat Penrith, and I think that's definitely been, for the most part this year, Penrith have been well above. Like you could tell halfway through the year they were going to finish minor premiers. They were so far ahead of the rest of the field. You know, they managed to still win games through the Origin period where they had 27 players out. It's been quite a phenomenal year for them, and they are a nursery, and I get that. But mate, let's go through the game again the same way we did last week. So let's start with. Break it down to the middle's edge.
So one little thing here. Just I think they're in the grand final for Jersey Flag SG. Well, I mean, I think they're either reserve grade and flag and first grade. They're all in the same.
I think it's four. I think it's first time in 113 years.
4 out of so they're not in the Harold match because I think they finished second or third. Who knows? But they're not in the women's, and that's about it. And they're in everything else. Like that is a phenomenal. It's ridiculous. Yeah, what was you saying? Going for the game.
So let's go in. Let's start with middles, right? So let's start with the middle. So Parramatta, one of their main strengths is obviously their front row rotation. They got Nathan Brown back in as well, which I think is a really good move from Brad Arthur. So if we look at the two middles, who do you see winning that battle?
I look at Penrith and I think they're more mobile. I look at Api Coruscant, he's better than Marnie. I look at Fisher Harris and he's better than both of those guys. So, and Leota's not far behind, and that's a massive rap. Leota's toe-to-toe with those guys. He's not as big or anything like that, but what he makes up for it, he fucking puts it into his tackles. He hits and he cleans up the ruck really good. Isaiah Yeo, that middle, Isaiah Yeo, Leota, Api Coruscant, and Fisher Harris, no one can touch it. And then you compare it to the other side. Not many people are better than Paulo, Marnie, Campbell Gillard, and Madison. So that's saying something, man. Like Penrith are on with that. They are big time with those middles, and they all play massive minutes, and they've played at the highest level for the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, Fisher Harris being premier prop like 1, 2, or 3. Leota's coming up there. They're still all young. They're all under 27 years old or 28 years old. I'm not sure how old Appy is. I just look at that middle and I'm like, they just move better. When they're under fatigue. Like Paulo and Campbell Gillard, big bodies, man. They're big boys. They've still got like quality minutes. But what happens if they've got to play more than 60 or 70? Something happens. I just think Fisher Harris has got plenty of minutes in him. And so, not saying anything about Campbell Gillard or Paulo, but it's the quality of minutes. You can leave them out there for as long as you can. Forwards won't come off. It just depends what sort of work you're going to get with them. Are you going to get those quality runs?
Yeah, that's right.
Get, like no drop balls? Are you going to get no missed tackles? Are you going to keep closing the ruck, closing the door? All those little things, wrestling, finding your front, all these little things that take a lot of energy out. Where when you play in a pack as well balanced as Penrith, and everybody does their job, you don't really have to pick up the slack for anyone. So therefore, your energy is better at the end of the games. Have a look how Penrith finish games. Their foot's on your throat and they're fucking choking you. They don't let you up. They do not let you up. So that's where I look at the balance of that team is they've got it perfect. They have.
And I think if you look at the left edge runners in Lane and Kickout, you've probably got the two most damaged. Like Sean Lane this year has just grown an extra leg. He has just been phenomenal. Like he is just what he has been able to do for Parramatta this year is one of the main reasons I think that they've gone as far as they have. And you look at Kickout again, he's just been so dominant. So, what do you see there? Like if you look at those, how do you shut down? If you're Parramatta or Penrith, obviously you're going to be focusing on those edge runners. How do you shut it down?
Inside pressure. And I think Penrith have better inside pressure than Parramatta because their middles, as I said, like Leota and Fisher Harris and Api Coruscant and Isaiah Yeo, they don't stop. The inside pressure coming to get to Moses and to get to Dylan Brown will be out of this world. This is the last game of the year, Bern. This is for everything. You know what I mean? And that's why this, cream always rises to the top. And this is what I'm expecting from Penrith players because they've been doing this for 3 or 4 years, all of them. They can take Dylan. You've got to take Dylan Brown out of the game. You've got to take his running game out of the game. And if I'm Dylan Brown, I've got to prove to you that I'm here to run the game. I'm here to run the ball. So my first hit up from Dylan Brown would probably be like a show and go. All right, I'm going to run. And if you're a middle for Penrith, you're like, fuck, I want him to pass them like Sean Lane all game. And then they can just come up, check, release straight on the Sean Lane. You know what I mean? So he's going to be up against Liam Martin. Liam Martin is a little savage dog. He's gonna he won't be getting the meters that he was getting. Remember, look at the first game where Sean Lane played. 10 touches, 70-something meters. 65, 70 minutes played. You know what I mean? That's not fucking good numbers compared to what he racked up the next week, 220 meters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he was been killing it, you know, like, and even on the weekend, he had, I mean, the game against the Cowboys, he played pretty good second half, but they were shutting him down because they shut Dylan Brown down. And North Queensland's defence is good, but Penrith's on another level. So you're going to have to start, you know, you're going to have to play football and run hard. You've got to cop your fucking medicine at the start like they did in that first round. In that first game, the first semi, don't get it twisted. They were in that game for 60 minutes. Moses gets injured. Put the other kid on. Game over. You know? But I reckon Parramatta will take more out of that game than Penrith did. Because this is a grand final. For sure. Now. This is a grand final. Yeah. Now. This is what Parramatta's been waiting for. That's why I think it's going to be an upset. I reckon.
Well,
that's just me trying to make money for the
make the game better
for the kids,
but
and trying to justify it.
All right,
I don't know. I just think, I think. Sorry, back to the back rows, like Sean Lane. He's got a massive job, man. A massive job because, like, you could see from the last game they played, they only started getting going forward because of you. Like, you hold the key. You and Dylan Brown hold the key to that side. Big pressure.
So how do Para win the game, Will?
They can hold it in the middle. They can handle Fisher Harris and Leota in attack and defence. It's going to be like a dead end in the middle. You're going to get that. You're going to have some second phase. That second phase fucks everything. You've got to fatigue Penrith. You've got to have 50-50 ball at least. 50% minimum. You've got to complete at a high rate. Every time they complete at a high rate, they're unreal, Parramatta. They get down there, they've got the team, they've got Papali'i, they've got Sean Lane, they've got Madison, they've got Nathan Brown back, they've got Junior Paulo, Ken McGill. They can fucking flex some muscles on you. Reed Marnie's a little dog, you know what I mean? Like, he can go, hey, a little bit of second phase, a little bit of play some footy at Penrith. You know, like, don't just play into their hands, which is this bash and barge shit. You know what I mean? Like, play to your skills. Like, if you you know what I mean? Like, don't just run straight into the teeth of them all the time. You've got to copy medicine early, but don't play one-dimensional all game because Penrith will just swallow you up. Get a little tip, and then hit on the edge. Try and get it Luai. Try and get it Cleary. Try and get them involved in tackles. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just can't play one-dimensional against Penrith because they're just they'll swallow you. They'll eat you up. It's like trying to do it to Melbourne 10 years ago. They're going to get you. You have to play football against me. You know what I mean? That's what they'll say. And they're fucking cocky. They know what they're good. They know what they're good at. They talk a lot of shit and they back it up. That's the worst thing with Penrith. They're out there chirping, Luai and Toto and all these blokes, and they're fucking bashing you in the middle, scoring tries out wide, jumping on each other. Like, people are sick of seeing that shit. Other teams especially, not fans.
So,
you know what I mean?
Last question, Will. Is that why you're tipping Para? Because you just want to see a good game and Penrith not just dominate through.
Oh, yeah. It's a little bit of tall poppy syndrome, right? Everyone started hating on Melbourne, but I reckon people started hating on Melbourne because it's no Sydney club. People are hating on Penrith for a different reason. They see a lot of celebrating, they see a lot of this shit, and it's like they are so dominant. What do they won? Like, was it Cleary or someone's won 66 out of 77 games, like in 3 or 4 years? Something like that.
Ridiculous.
So people just want to see the big guys go down. The big dogs. And I want to see fucking Parramatta win. 36 years, man. 36 years. A long time for a blue chip club like Parramatta not to win a premiership in 36 years. Been good for the game. And a Para supporter. We've got a heap of Para supporters too. I just don't want to hear it from those pricks. I keep hammering Parramatta because I just got a couple of mates that are fucking diehard Para supporters. And I'll never hear it. I'll never hear the end of it. You know what I mean? My accountant's a Parramatta supporter. Oh, sick of me. So I just think, I think it'd be good for the game. 36 years. I said, like, Parramatta's like a fucking great club. Some good players there. They deserve to win it. Why not?
All right, mate. Well, let's move on to Willie's big boys. Now, I think really with this week, I think we might have decided a winner.
Who did I go? We did. Yeah, tell me the winner.
I think we've decided a winner.
The big boys on the weekend.
This week.
Sorry, go.
You go. No, read them out.
Yeah, well, the big boys were on again this week. It was hard to go past. Like my boy, Jason Taumalolo, I'm going straight to him. What he did, I'm not even going to read out the stats. What I saw, the eyeball test, I've never seen him run harder. He's gone to another level. I never thought his game would go to another level. Like, he's the most destructive ball runner of all time. Now he's figuring it out defenses as the game slowed down for him. He can beat you by running over you, a little bit of late footwork. Now he's developed a passing game, which is quality. You know what I mean? Like, he nearly put that whole fucking Townsville on his back. We tried to and get him over the line. So 3 points to Taumalolo. Can't go past Big Campbell Gillard. 2 tries on a night like that. I don't care. If you're a big man, you got 2 tries, you're fucking taking it. You're going straight on the list. 2 tries in the middle. Out. You couldn't wish for a better
in a prelim.
Night. Campbell Gillard in a prelim. You know what I mean? Like, it might have got him an Aussie jersey. Who knows? I'm not sure if he's playing for Fiji, but that could get him in the Australian side. It's a big game. It's big plays. He ran the ball hard, tackled hard, played hard. 2 tries, man. That's unbelievable. And Sean Lane, big boy on the edge, mate. He's in the big boys. He's a fucking 6'6", 115 kilos. So he's a big boy.
He's a big boy.
He changed the game.
He
changed the game. I think he needs to understand he ain't just a role player anymore. You're not coming off the bench for the Bulldogs. You're not doing this shit for Manly. You're that dude. Own it.
Yeah.
Own it.
Yeah.
Own it. Be that person for fucking one. They need you, man. Dylan Brown needs you. You know, like, you got to protect him, and you got to fucking do your thing. You do your work in offense. Fucking create some second phase. If you need some shit, that's how you rattle defenses. You sit him on an edge, get some second phase, get some outside backs and Wanga Blake and that coming in off those second phase and trying to jump in, create holes, and then just fucking go. They're a talented side, Parramatta. There's one team Penrith didn't want to see in a grand final where all fucking everything's pushed into the middle. We're going all in. Para's going.
Yeah,
all in.
agreed.
You know what I mean? I reckon they'd rather, and I reckon Parramatta are probably thinking, I'd rather be fucking playing Penrith too, because I don't want to play South. I reckon Souths have got their measure. Just teams measure up different. Like, fuck, the Churchill just keeps carving us up. So does Cody Walker. I don't really want to see South. Do you know what I mean? I swear they would have won that game against fucking Cowboys and going, we're in the GF. I hope Penrith win. Because you want to beat the best as well. These kids, we want to shut you up. But these Para boys, they're on.
Well, the best big boy, hopefully, the best big boy for the year, drum roll, is Jason Taumalolo. He cannot be beaten from this point. He is so far ahead of the rest of the field. And I'll tell you what, Will, after last year and the way that, he was utilised by Todd Payton and people were saying it's the end of Jason Taumalolo, it was never the end of Jason Taumalolo. That bloke, what he has done for such a long period of time, he is one of the most destructive players probably to ever play the game. And I think he will go down as one of the all-time greats. And obviously they don't give immortals to Fords because Fords, no one cares about them. It's just the little pretty backs that get it. But he is phenomenal talent.
You know what I've got to give credit to is big Rod Payton. He has been outstanding the way that he took that on last year. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, well, I've got a team here. Is it a top 8 team? No, they've made top 8 since 2017, 18. Went up there. Got Jason Taumalolo. I want to try to evolve his game. I reckon probably JT even probably going, I'm talking Taumalolo, probably thinking, how far can my game evolve? He's put the right pieces around him. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't have to do that when he had Tarmow and Matt Scott. He had to get that in his head. Now I've got you Jordan McLean. I've got you this other kid. I've got some good, decent back rolls. Got some decent ball players. They can fucking do some work for you. Giving him the confidence to play out the back, hit the front runner, concentrate. He can just concentrate on doing his own thing instead of trying to do everything else. When especially when the big 3 sort of left, it was just all on him. He had to do everything. 260, 70, average 250 metres a game, I think he did for 1 year. He's probably gone, you're 27, 28 years old. Do you want another 5 years or do you want another 2 at the top? Another 5 years, you'll come down probably arguably the greatest forward of all time in 5 years because he's evolved his game into passing. Because big Rod Payton, he could play the game. He was an outstanding front rower, had skills of a halfback, infamously known as the big boy said, I'm a halfback in a front rower's body, quote, unquote, Rod Payton. I love that shit. And it proves that him as a coach. Like, have a look what he's done with those middles. Reuben Cotter, Jordan McLean, they've all got this skill set, a high skill set, all their forwards. You know what I mean? Because Todd Payton had a high skill set and he wants these players to have it all. That's why I look at the young players that I coach. I want them to have it all. You've got to beat people in 3 ways. You got to pass the ball, you got late footwork, or you run over someone. You've got to have it all. You can't be one-dimensional and just run over people. It doesn't happen. They'll start game planning for you. And that's what they started doing with Taumalolo now. It's like he's evolved again. He's gone up a fucking another level. Who would have thought? Oh, it's scary.
Not me.
It's scary. It's scary. It is scary good. And credit goes to Todd Payne because they butted heads last year. All he was trying to do was just trying to get through and try and give him some more help. Now these kids are coming through. He's so highly respected up in North Queensland, Taumalolo. Yeah. Now he's got some help now. He'll probably hopefully lead him to another premiership in the next
Not
3
far
years. Who's to say they're that far off? They're not. As I said, these clubs are on the decline and they're on the way up.
All right, Will. Well, congrats again to big Jason Taumalolo. So our betting has been it's been
abysmal.
Terrific. It's been abysmal.
Right, it's going to get worse.
We've won.
I'll give you mine. Sorry.
We've won $3,300. So if you're a junior club, hit us up. It's going out somewhere. You know what? That's still a lot of money for a junior club. We've done okay, but just
come
not
on
that well.
We raised nearly 25 grand in 3 years. Come on, man.
It's not bad.
All right, mine is.
All right, William, do yours.
Parramatta 1-12. Anytime try scorers: Sean Lane, Liam Martin, and Crichton.
That's a good bet, except for the Eels 1-12. But that's paying $226, and that will bring in 11 grand. So, all right.
Imagine if that happens. Come on.
That would be so good.
It's for the kids.
That would be so good. It's for the children. You better win, Para, then. So I'm going against you. I've gone Panthers 1-12, Kiko anytime try scorer, and over 38.5 total, which is $14, which I think is a pretty good bet. And this one, I don't even know what this means. So,
did the producer go for the Swans last week?
Yeah, I think you did. You did. And, mate, you think...
Because of the Swans, Henry? Oh, no.
Oh, really?
Fucking hell.
Well, obviously, he's the stress of last week sent him insane, because wait until I read these out. Saigon Buffalo, Will?
What?
Yep. Yeah, Saigon Buffalo. I don't know what that
is. What is this? What is this?
Henry, what's that?
Is this a sport? Is this gaming again?
Is that online gaming? It's gaming.
Oh, he's fucking lost the plot.
That's bad, mate. So then we've got Saigon Buffalo. Then we've got New South Wales Blues to win something. It must be cricket season. Panthers. This is a new low. Luis Inácio Lula da Silva to be Brazilian president. Just let that one sink in. The Nashville Predators. What is that? What is the Nashville Predators? Puerto Rico women.
Was it NHL?
Hockey. China women. France women. He's backing the women of China and France. What's he backing the women of China and France to do?
Is this a World Cup basketball?
He's just backing them. He's backing the Polish. George Russell. Who's George Russell? Podium finish into evil. Oh, this will do me. And what's evil? Is that another gaming thing?
How does he even know about that shit?
I need a shower after reading that out. I feel dirty. Anyway, that's going to win. No, it's not. But if it did win, it would win $400. There must be some short bets in there because there's 4 million legs in that. That's all. Wow. They're all favourites.
Terrible.
I hope Saigon Buffalo wins. I really hope Saigon Buffalo. They're my favourite, Saigon Buffalo. So Willie's tipped the Eels, the producers tipped the Eels, and I've tipped the Panthers. We've got
Someone's going to win.
Questions.
Someone's going to win.
Someone's winning.
Oh, yeah, we've got a fucking heap of questions.
All right, here's a couple of questions for you, Will. All right, where are we? Who's your smoky for the World Cup, Will?
Dylan Edwards. I'll give you two. I'll give you a back, Dylan Edwards, and my forward. I don't think Hudson Young. I think he's pretty much in the side, but Sean Lane, that's a smoky.
I think Dan means who's going to win, as in if Australia doesn't win, who's going to win?
Fuck. Jeez. Oh, does he not mean player?
No, I think he means the team. I think he means who's your smoky.
Definitely not Jamaica.
Samoa.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, no, Samoa because of the fact that they have the players there. They've got Luai, man. Anthony Milford, the halves. It's been the difference between Tonga and Samoa. That's the halves, man. You know, so we got quality, like world-class halfbacks.
The reason I said Samoa is because Brad Boucher, who's a huge fan of the national game, he's asked you what your 17 would be from Samoa. But the problem with that is there's like 20 names. I'm not going to read them all out. So we'll come back to you with that one, mate. We'll come back.
Yeah, I mean, the 17. I
can
see it here, but I don't know. Like, I don't know who you pick. It's pretty much picks itself, doesn't it? But it pretty much picks itself apart from like the forwards. I mean, like the bench forwards. You're going to start Jimmy. Yeah. So I'm not sure. Like, even like Spencer Leanu, where's he play? Like Lua to Powell? Like, fuck. I mean, I wouldn't even know. I'm not even going to, I can't go. I'm looking at it now, Brad. So I'm going to go.
My head in already.
I know. Who would play fullback? I'll give you the fullback. Give me a fullback.
Well, it'll either be Suoliti or who was the other one they said?
So just say the wingers: Taylor May, Brian Toto. They're the wingers. Two centers. You got Stephen Crichton and Isaac Tungo. You got Jerome Luai, Anthony Milford in the halves. Josh Papali'i. So Papali'i and Paulo as your props. Your hooker's going to be. Is it Danny Levi?
Brown,
has he been playing?
Would it?
Whāmanu Brown.
Or Brown, yeah.
Yeah, my back row would be the other Papali'i. Who else? Luciano Leilua, and my lock would be. I'd go with. It depends what they're going to go with here. So as a lock, do you go Jaden Sewer? I'm not sure. Would he be starting the back row? That's what I mean. The forwards and the bench forwards are the only time that you're going to have a bit of a break and go, oh, who am I going to play here? So the lock would be me personally. Go with Spencer Leanu. I just put him in the middle and just go power.
Yeah,
depends. And that's what I'm saying. Like, or you could go someone else. Like a Jaden Sewer. They don't have it. Yeah, Alloy, you don't have a ball playing lock, so they haven't really gone for that. Ueli, everything like that. So I think you're going to do that. And the bench players, you can just make them up. All the big guys. You know, you pick a hammer on the bench. Some good players are going to miss out. Alloy, you got Alloy, you got Royce Hunt to Power, Jaden Sewer, Braden Ueli, Kafusi, Lua. Like, you're going to have some decent players missing out. So that's why you got a good coach. That's it. Right,
Guy, our man from Adelaide Rams, if Willie was playing in the grand final for either the Eels or the Panthers in his peak state, of course, mate, he's always in his peak state. Don't worry about that. Willie just does peak state. Who's the main player in opposition he'd target to run at and smash in defence? So who would you target?
I was playing for the Eels. See, that's hard because I look at Penrith and I don't see any spot players. Cleary hits good, but I'll just try and tie Cleary and Luai out. I'd have both. I'd be swapping sides. I'd be just running outside in lines all the time. If I was back row or front row, getting a tip on, trying to get to him early. Just try and tire Cleary out. That's what we should try and do. JT and JT wasn't as good a defender as Cleary and Luai. You know, they're both good defenders. That's the difference. Where you flip it on the other side and you can get at Moses. And Moses has been pretty good in defence, but he's still a spot player in defence, right? You're going to get some big bodies getting thrown at him. Kickout's going to be thrown at him. Liam Martin's going to be adding more game. It's just going to be relentless. So I look at, who do you pick up? Liam Martin hits hard. Fucking Kickout hits like a truck. Leota, Fisher Harris, Appy Coruscant. He hits hard. I'd rather run at fucking Fisher Harris than Appy because he can get you right under you. So you've got to go at the halves. You got to go at their halves and have a look who's. Usually halves have good bodyguards. Have a look. They've got Liam Martin and they've got Fish and they've got Kickout. You try and get it. You try and get at these guys. You have to have a good combination with your halfbacks, trying to get you on that ball on the outside in line because they can easily slide out and then next minute Kickout hits you on his left. You know what I mean? Like that's how they do it. Like it's hard to spot them up. So you might as well just fucking go straight through the middle. If I was like that, if I was playing in the middle, I'm just going to go at Fisher Harrison. I'm just going to go in the middle at Isaiah Yeo. You just got to just keep going until you're fucked. It's just going to be a hard battle. We'll see what happens.
Mate, Just quickly, we've got two more. We've got Old Enough to Know Better. He wants to know about the benefit of the doubt approach with the bunker. So sick of seeing tries that have been awarded for the last 100 years are overturned because the bunker picks up a finger between the ball and the grass or a mil of separation on the put down. So he's basically saying that what happens when tries go to the bunker and then they look at it 500 times and then it looks like a try and then they just find like a teeny tiny little thing and then they overrule the try. So
like we've cried, like Stephen Crichton's try. Stephen Crichton's try last week. I thought that was a try when he.
That was.
I thought it was a try. That was downward pressure. I'm like, what are they missing something here? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like they waste so much time with the bunker. If you're going to go to the bunker, like have a look at one thing when North Queensland that forward pass, they come out and say, "Oh, sorry, we got it wrong." Fuck, I don't want to know on Tuesday after a freaking Friday night game. You've been on a bender for 3 days and you go, "Oh, we were wrong, were we?" They could change the whole game. Like, God damn, just shut up or just, start ruling on forward passes. We can rule on everything else. It's 2022. We can go back to the bunker and just rewind the whole thing and go on to everything. I think every try should be reviewed. Just review the whole thing from forward pass and if it's so blatant a forward pass, stop it. It's no try. Like if that was that try, with the Moses to Papali'i, it's like, hey, come back, it's forward. No one would have cried about that. Just need to make some firm decisions in the NRL with that when it comes to reffing in the bunker and all that sort of shit. So much fucking grey area. And they've created.
Here's a firm decision. Piss it off. Get rid of the bunker. All right. Last question, William, from Anton, our man Anton, who lives in New Zealand. Oh, I don't know. He said it feels like there are more crap haircuts every season. This year there were some real skunks on show. Now it's grand final time. There aren't many left to choose from. Who wins the Clive Churchill medal for the shittest grand final mop? Now, the issue with that, William, is that in grand final week, I reckon there's some blokes now, they're hitting the barber up and they're going out and they're getting their special grand final haircuts now. So I feel like we need to answer this question next week because I reckon someone's coming out with something stupid.
You reckon? I don't think so. I don't reckon.
They
don't want that added pressure in grand finals. Like if you look like a dick, if you got a pink hair or some shit like that, and you don't win the grand final, you look like an idiot. People are very aware of that. I don't think anyone will be rocking up the grand final with stupid hair. But if you're going to go with the worst looking hair from both sides, Parramatta's pretty clean cut, to be honest. There's no real flashy sort of there's not that many out there. Penrith, on the other hand, you look at Brian Toto's hair. He's got like a flat top, sort of flat hair with a massive if he lets that out, it's the fucking craziest mullet of all time. So I'd have to go with Brian Toto. When Toto's got his hair out, because it has to be. Like it's long as hell too. It's really straight and it's just like some weird sort of haircut. Only he could pull it off.
He put some time into it.
I don't think you can put that work. He grew it when he was injured, right? He comes back with his fucking. Remember, he had 2 plaits going down like that.
William, I can guarantee you, I would not get away with that haircut. There is no way in the world I would look so bad.
All right, Henry might love it.
Henry in his furry suit. So we've got that's it. That's the show for this week. The grand final for the record. William really wants the Eels to win just because he just wants the Eels to win, and I think Penrith will win. But I actually would like to see Parramatta win too, just for diagnosis. If you're out there listening, I hope you get a win after put 40 aside for your whole life and get nothing. But all right, well, rate and review. That's the thing. And we will see you next week.
We'll be tweeting. When are you back? When are you back in town, Berner?
Mate, I'm back tomorrow, and then I go to Adelaide for the week to see some. Yeah. So, but we will see you next week, gang.
All right, guys.
Thanks for tuning in.
I'll be following Willie more and more. Back in the NRL is Willie Mason.
I've forgotten how big Willie actually is.
Perhaps the presence of Willie had the Panthers looking at his imposing frame.
I'm a 25-minute man. Plus. Oh, you got skill, son.
Uppercut right hand by Big Willie.
Too fancy for you.
You've been listening to The Take with Willie Mason and co-host Ian Byrne. Produced by Craig Trewick, recorded and engineered by Zig Parker of Green Room Sydney, and